All right. Hello, everybody. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with Bitcoin, and let's just start with a chart with nothing on it to get started for us here. And this will be the one I'm starting with here. So right now on Bitcoin, let's start from the high time frames like we do usually. Actually, I want to get one with a little bit more stuff on it. Let's go to this one right here. Alright, so let's get started. So currently at about 17K. We lost that 17.2 area, which is pretty important that you have to hold. The next area I think is around 16.2. The reason I say that is because you have this weekly level over here. And even if you look at the monthly, you're kind of in no man's land on the monthly right now, which means this could just easily come right down to that 13.8 level. Like that 13.8 level is right here, right at that monthly support that you have on top of this. You're literally in no man's land right now. So that is why I've still been bearish. We've just been chopping around for a little bit. But I think sooner or later we're just going to come down. This monthly candle looks like shit. We lost support right here that we were in for a couple months. Right at the top of this candlestick right over here. And then from there we've nuked this previous month, and then this month has just been kind of a tight range, but it's only a matter of time I think before you come and test this low on the monthlies over here. So you have monthly support, top of wick support, and then monthly support all around the 13.8 area. And on top of that, you also have a harmonic here. So this is a shark, could be a cipher at the 786 right here. So we're pretty much holding the cipher territory at the moment, which is your 786 right here, which is a very important level. And that is like exactly where we're at almost, man. So if you want to click on this D point here, we can actually see exactly what it is. 16,934. So let's draw a line at 16,934. So that's where we're at on the monthly, right? So that's where we need to hold. Any drop below this, I'm definitely seeing us come and test lower here because we're holding the 786. Retrace from this entire giant move here, and you can get that by taking your fib tool, going from low to high up here, and you'll see that you're right at that 786 right here. And if you look like this, it looks like you're drop below it, and you have clear range down just to that 1800 area or 886 area that I think is going to be close to the bottom, right around that 11K eventually. And you also have that shark that is calling for that down there, so that 886 retrace would be perfect in my opinion. Could we have a couple wicks right below it? Yeah, of course you could, but I think they get bought up real quick, and then you find support down here and they go. So that's kind of like the macro outlook that I'm looking at. When you start to really break it down on Bitcoin and look a little bit on the lower time frames, so we have those levels marked right now. Let me get the weekly 16.2 mark just to have it on the chart, which should be a significant level. And you can even see the 16.2 lines up perfect with this bottom of this wick and this weekly area over here. For the divergences on the weekly, it looks like shit. This is a hidden bearish divergence on the weekly that's playing out, and we're starting to curve down. So I'll actually use the polyline. So you have this upwards momentum. Price needed to pass this high over here. It needed to pass this high for it to be bullish. So in the meantime, anything below that is just a hidden bearish divergence, which can push it down lower. You're going to want a little trigger wave down here on the weekly for it to really send it, in my opinion. So we have this, and then look, it's starting to curve down as well too. So it doesn't mean that can't curve back up, but it's starting to curve down, which means momentum is looking down. On the weekly, on the RSI, you also have, let's take this to the top up here. So from here down, you have your breakout. You do have a breakout, you have a retest, which is perfect. That's all you need. But what's all this space down here? You can still come down here. You can still do like this on the RSI, come back down, retest it, and then go. And that would take some time, and price would probably look like something like this. And I don't think we get a V-shaped recovery, only at the bottom. We'll probably have a nasty wick if we get one. I don't know what news is going to happen, but I think we still have farther to go down here, just based on that. Especially if we lose this 16.9786 area of that cipher. So right now we're consolidating above it. We had a nasty wick. That's the level that needs to be lost here, because if we lose this level here right under 16.9, then this thing we can short easily, probably down to the bottom of this range over here around 16.2. I'm not in a Bitcoin long. I'm in a short. I'm in a couple other shorts, but that 16.2 level is very important. All right, so we break it down even farther. We have, when you're looking at this, we're gonna have a bearish butterfly. So those are gonna call for your fib levels down lower that we're gonna have, which is the 1272, which is what we landed on. So we have your 1272 right here. And you can even just take your fib here, low to high, and just mark those levels out. I have a template saved right here where you can just my butterfly levels, so we can have those butterfly levels marked as well. So ultimately we have the 1272, which is what we bounced off of. And then we also have your 1414, and then a little bit lower at 12.8-ish, 12.9-ish is your 1618. So that's kind of what we're looking at for those levels, especially if we lose this D point right here. The next stop is down here around like 14.4, 1400-ish, right around that level. On the daily, you probably can see that divergence that we have. So we are actually forming kind of, yeah, a little bit of a hidden bearish divergence here, because this price is higher, so we do have a little hidden bearish divergence, especially if this price starts to come down. And you can look at that on the chart. So they're about even, but it's still a little bit slanted upwards, so it will be hidden. So you would just take this area right here, right where we marked it, right to the high, like right over here. And this would actually have to go right here, because this was the top. So it definitely is a hidden bearish divergence at the moment. And then you can also see that on RSI too. Price highest point on RSI here, and we haven't claimed above it yet. So that is a hidden bearish divergence that we're still currently working with. And the only way to get past that is to get above this high. So I mean, we could pump all the way up to like even 19 or 20,600-ish, and it'd still be a hidden bearish divergence over here. But it ain't looking good. When you really look down at the lower time frames, there's a couple patterns that we have out here. So we did have a butterfly, I believe, that was right here, I think I found. I'll double check real quick. Yeah, so that's a little bit closer to the butterfly, and in your 1272 area is your butterfly. And let me just double check one thing. So in your 1272 right here, if we do get up to that, it does have to be above a 1618, which is perfect. So if we do get a pump on Bitcoin from here, we would be looking for 17.5-ish. 17.5 would be a really big resistance, and that's not out of the books, man. I mean, you have that area here. You have this larger bat that I'm kind of eyeing just by looking at it. That might, yeah, so 0.5 exactly That's the 0.5 retracement, and then you look for like an 886. So your 786 lines up right with this point, which means this could potentially go up to your 1414 or your 1618. Let's put the bat up here first. So your 886 is right here, and your, see if the 1414 is right around that. So if we get pumps, these are going to be the levels to look out for. This will be a pretty big resistance right here. This box right here. And then this level right here exactly would be a big resistance. So those are a couple levels to watch out for. Anything in this territory is going to see a lot of resistance if we get up here. And you can actually see from previous over here, you see the candle wicks into it. There's a lot of sellers here. So if we do happen to pump up back to that level, then be careful. We haven't broken a trend line. Usually when I like to have these bearish patterns, I like to see a trend line eventually broke get from down here to at least see a little bit lower, to see these lower levels. So we can leave that drawn on the chart. And we just have our 16.2, we have our 16.9 that we're currently holding above right now. As soon as that breaks though, I think market structure is really gonna tank here. We could come down here, maybe form something like that, come down and then go. But right now we are holding. So be interesting to see if we get a little pump. Got a little hidden bullish divergence on the 4 hour. So the lower time frames look like we can get a little bit of a pump here. But on the higher time frames, it looks like we're going down still, which is what I like to trade. I like to try that. Oh, so no, it's more of just a divergence at the meantime. I like to really trade the larger time frames and try to get those big ones if I can. That's when the real money's at. But you can actually even look. I mean, this was a nasty 4 hour bearish divergence right here. Yeah, look at all this momentum just going down when you got a little bit of a lower high. And the way you can see that too is when you're looking at price, look how far price went up and look how high this wave went. So you had a lot of momentum, you're moving up really quick. But if you look in this range here, you can see from the low to up here, it's not near as big as this one right here. So this was a lot more movement on price. MACD went up a lot higher. Same thing over here. It was a lot smaller. Your MACD is a little bit lower. That means buyers are not pushing the price up as high as they were. And it's staying a little bit more steady, which means more sellers are coming into the market up here, or people taking profit. So we come back down and we're testing to see if there's some buyers here. This is an area where there's been buyers, as you can tell. It's a pretty good area. If you want to take this realistically down to like right about here is where you're going to see a lot of the buyers step in. So let's see if the buyers step in again. If the buyers step in again here, then we could push for these higher targets, but the momentum is starting to slow down and we're already seeing that there's more sellers stepping in up here than there were down here. So let's break it down even more here. On the lower time frame, if we pushed up, but we never got a high above this, we could start forming a butterfly, a bullish butterfly at these levels. And let's see if we take this over here, if that's a 786. It is not. We do have a shark, it looks like, right here. So let me go ahead and map this out. So we can have some retrace levels where we might get a pump, where you can take some good scalps at. So say this is the last high that holds, we'd be looking for price down here at your 886 for a shark, which lines up pretty well over here. You got some support, support, support. So that's a very important level. So if we do nuke, this is where it's going to be. And look at that, this is like right at that 16.2 level that I said I want to hold. So we could have something like this play out. We could be in another range bound environment. It might take a little bit for us to nuke back down. It might be after the holidays. People are going to think we're supposed to pump like crazy, but hey man, maybe we're just range bound. Trade the range again. So we have the 886 up here. So ultimately, if we are range bound, and we do hold this low over here, this would be the range that you'd want to trade. See if you can take it up there. And looks like a midpoint that we're dropping down. Let's see if I pin this to the top. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, I mean, let's pin this to the lows, get all that price action in there. So make sure this is even. So yeah, that looks good, man. You can see the midpoints here, acting as resistance and then support once we broke above it. So ultimately, I think this level, 16.8 area, if we break below that area, then you look to test this C. And when you test that C, you could get bullish, a hidden bullish divergence on that. And it would look like this. So you would have price going like this, but you have a lower high or a higher low like that, and you hit the bullish shark confirmation, and then you take the bullish shark confirmation on a trade from here, stop loss below the C, and you take it up to the D up here. At least play the shark though. I would take this as the big trade, and then I would have a couple smaller ones where I would take profit on the way up on this, but my entry would be at like 16.2, 16.150. And ultimately what you would be trying to do is you would want to play the shark, because that's the completed harmonic. This is the moonshot where you can leave some open. So you would take the fib, you would go from wherever the high point is down to the low point. So say it finds a bottom right around there, and then you can find your targets. So these would be some good targets right here. And notice how that 0.5 of this actually lines up right at this 0.5, right at the EQ of this range that we're in. So that would be first target, right around that 0.5. And then I would also have your second targets. You would do one right here around your potentially your 618 and your 786, and then just scale out of this thing on the way up. Because it comes back down, at least you took some profits and you got out of it. But it would be, this would be a pretty good trade like these, and then just leave a little bit open for your moon bag up here to your bigger time frame. So scale out, I would scale out probably about 30%, and then keep scaling out a little bit on these, and probably keep about like 20 to 25% in this big trade to let it go up, but already lock in profits and have a risk-free trade. You can move your stop loss up to break even after we get up here, but this would be a kind of a trade that I would personally be eyeing to take now that I'm looking at the charts. So this is looking really good here. If we can nuke down, if we hold this level, then you know that at this D point, it's going to be a very, very harsh rejection. You can take this and you can just do the opposite, man. Take the trade here, stop loss above this X up here, above the channel, and you can run it down, man. At least to the middle point here. That's a 3-to-1 trade. It's exactly what I look for. And ultimately, you'd want to see that thing test the C. You could even have one all the way down there, which is a 5-to-1. So you can play this either way. These are your two inflection points right now. These are your macro trades that are available. So you're either looking for your push up here to your D where you can short it, or your push down here for your long if you're not in a position. Those would be the ultimate areas that would be good positions, or good areas to take a position. So that's Bitcoin right now. Let's go to the dollar. PW in here still. All right. So the dollar found a little support. I'm looking for ultimately a 1.13 where we ultimately find support. So this could happen, man. We could still get a little bit more of a run because we pushed past that 886 area that I was looking to hold. This area right here. So we pushed past that. So this could be an alternate bat now, which the next step is at 1.13, and that's your alternate bat. Your regular bat's your 886, which is this red line, I'm pretty sure. And then your alternate bat is this 1.13, and when you zoom out and look at the 1.13 level, it's pretty significant right in here. You have support, you have some support there, and then you also have this trend line. So maybe it takes some time to get down here, and it looks more like this, and we just have a shitty choppy session with maybe some decent moves with some altcoins and shit. But ultimately, let's say we just chop up here, we maybe come up, we get rejected, and we just have the dollar just doing some shit like this where it fucks around, comes, and then goes, and that's when it'll be bearish again. Or if you get a reclaim of this 886 here, that'll be also bearish if the dollar does that. Ultimately, for the bulls to really have a very safe entry, for macro, you want to see this trend line break. This has been a trend line since May 2021. So this is a macro trend line. And remember, DXY is inverse usually to TradFi and crypto. So if this thing's bearish, risk on assets usually are a little bit more bullish. So that's kind of what I'm looking for on the dollar. I'm just trying to play those macro levels and look for those macro swing plays on this thing. And it's getting closer into bullish territory where it's going to hit that harmonic and this trend line and probably flip, and you'll probably get a pretty big dump once it hits that. So that's why I've been a little bit more bearish than leaning bullish right now. But hey, if we break out down this, there's going to be plenty of time to make some plays. ETH. Alright, so I have this little chart looking on ETH, and I have pretty much like the all-time high area marked over here. It's actually probably right here on my boxes. Yep. So we had, I like to call this rec proofs little strategy. You have your accumulation phase, your manipulation phase, and then your expansion, your distribution phase over here, where price just comes up on your manipulation and then just fucking nukes hard. And that's what we had. Your kind of like 3-box process of your accumulation, manipulation, and then expansion. So as of right now, we do have like a triangle, and these triangles sometimes they're a little tricky. I mean, textbook is they break out which side, you play whatever side. Being in crypto a while, I see these things sometimes come out, they fake out here, and then they just like nuke through. But we could be in a range-bound environment for a while, man. Look how big this triangle has to move. So if we stay in a triangle like this, it could be a while, man. But ultimately, if we break out on the downside of this, we have a pretty big move down on this thing. We really do. That would be fucking crazy, man. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking at with this. We do have a couple harmonics on this one too. That should be like 380, I think. Yeah. So we have these levels to watch out for if we break out below this. These would be some good supports. If we go down that far, We also have the 886 over here on this play of like a bat type like structure. It's not perfect, but your 886 is right around, yeah, I know we didn't hit it. It's like right around 1,000, I believe. So this would be another support. But if we're breaking down below this, man, I mean, I'm not even sure how this will play out. Maybe you get a little fake out down and then up, or vice versa, up and down. But those are just levels to watch out for. Your 1015 level, your 1420 previous all-time high. You have a potential harmonic over here as well that can play out on the lower time frames. That I think you're currently working on. Let me see what we're working with. Let me get rid of some of these others. So you have this. If this pattern fails and it does push up, you'll have your 1618 target. And I believe you'd probably hit the 1618 right on this triangle. So that would give us till not much time to push up there. So you'd have to have some really bullish days to really push up there, which I don't think is going to happen. But shit, imagine it plays out like this, where you have a pattern like this, where it just breaks out, fakes everybody out, man. You get that breakout, everyone's like, oh shit, it's fucking bullish. And it just goes right back in, reclaims, and goes. So these are all just possibilities that I'm keeping my eye on. I can mark these levels maybe for future, but as of right now, we have a Gartley. Hit the 786. You've been rejecting off your 786 area. I think everything that's pretty much got above the 786 has been pretty harshly rejected, at least. You have a lot of sell pressure up there, especially when you look on the daily. So that's the 786 level. I mean, you had a couple candle bodies closes into it, but they didn't really last up there. And then ultimately, another way to look for further downside, you got your trend line here. So we're pushing up, man. We're forming like an ascending, kind of like an ascending triangle right now. That's when you delete everything, no harmonics or anything, you have like this ascending triangle like this, and you're just kind of pushing up on it. So these things do like to break up sometimes, so that's something to be careful about, and that's when you know you have your targets up here. So if you flip that level, you could get a parabolic move on the upside. Look, for example, look right here on this level right here. Remember, see how we touched that level and we broke above this level right here, and we retested it. We had a pretty parabolic move up. So this is an important level to keep an eye on, like right around that 1300. So depends what happens. If we come up and we break out and we retest that, that might probably a good long at previous all-time high up here, or at least top of this range right here is what you could target. And there's probably a couple harmonics that'll print on that when it happens. There's probably one right here, to be honest. That's very close to a 786. Let's see what the targets call for. Your 1618. Wow, look at that. Yeah, 1618 takes you right up to that previous all-time high. So if we do get above this, this is going to be a pretty good trade right here. You can long the retest of this thing with a stop loss below this trend line for a target of previous all-time high, around 1420. So that's a good 5-6 to 1 odds on this trade if you can reclaim that level and hold. And you can see how it's this resistance here, flip it into support, good to go. In the meantime, I'm playing the Gartley. I'm still short from right around 1300. Until that level gets flipped, I will stay short. So that's where I'm at. Short from 1300. If this thing breaks, that's just confirmation for farther down, and hold the short. If this thing starts to hold and starts to look bullish, I'll probably get out of the short. Could I make more money down here probably by holding it? Yeah, sure, but what if this thing goes way down? What if it breaks and we get that momentum? Thing to keep an eye on too is your divergences. So we are trying to form a little bit of a divergence. It's not the best, but it's working on it for a little bit farther upside. But you have this tight trigger wave here. Same thing I was talking about on Bitcoin with your momentum. You didn't really push up much higher, man. You have a higher or a lower high here, and you can actually see it with this. Look at all this momentum you had for this big wave, and you had just a little trigger wave, I like to call it. It's your big wave. This is your trigger wave. When that trigger wave hits like this, price is the same price. The momentum is definitely coming down, sloping down on this. So you get that move down, which is what we had right here. And then even on the 4 hour, you're below the 50-yard line, which means bears are in control. So if you can get above that level, then you know the bulls will start to come into control again. And you'll probably break right above that level before this even breaks, and you'll know that you might be on breakout alert. But in the meantime, the bears are in control right now, man. Especially if you look on the daily. It looks like the bulls are really fighting for it, but we're not seeing it yet. Just not seeing it yet. Alright, so Matic, I'm going to start with the macro and then go into the smaller time frames on Matic. So when you really look at Matic on the large time frame like this, we're in a massive bear flag. This is just a massive bear flag calling for farther down. When it breaks out past any of this level on the bear flag, you're looking for farther down to this D point, potentially down to 40 cents. You are still in the channel. You're holding the channel. As you can see with this yellow line, it's a macro resistance. You have a resistance here. You have a resistance here. Broke above it, went up a lot higher. You completed this Gartley pattern, so you have your 618, 786, nailed it. Stop loss would have been up here. About 125 is where your 786 is. I actually posted this on Twitter. This one was a really good short opportunity if you took it, and it was a pretty big move, man. You had this little spike down, spike up, a lot of price action within those couple days, and then from there we've just been coming down, and we're in bearish control again. We're below this level, and we couldn't seem to break it over here. And then when you really go to the lower time frames, there's a Gartley harmonic up here too as well, a deep Gartley, but I'll show you that in a second. So with this bear flag, I have a shark with a target down here at D. You have a 494 here. You have your 1618 up here. And then you have your 886 down here for about 40 cents. So this Gartley could literally take you all the way down to this pattern here to complete this pattern to return to bullish structure. Another way that really lines this up well is when you have these bear flags, you can get a measured move from the top of the bear flag all the way to the bottom. And if you just take this right here and you copy and paste it or clone it and then move it to where you break out of the channel, you can see a measured move takes you exactly to the bottom of this harmonic around 40 cents. So I think if we break that channel, it's going to be right around this area potentially, right on like December 20th potentially, and you get that measured move down to that D point. So that's kind of what I'm eyeing for, because that measured move, I mean, you could break even sooner, right? But there could be some more fuckery going around, and this is just a really good educated guess that if you broke out right here from your breakout down or your retest, this is your measured move, and it lines up so perfect with this 886 of the harmonic. So I like to line things up like that, get everything in harmony. Just with harmonics, you want to have everything in harmony. You have some crazy bearish divergence playing out on the daily as well on this thing. So Matic's one of the ones that I think if we short, it could really go down, man. Like, I think this one has been held up really high because it does have like a narrative, but if everything else starts to nuke, this thing's gonna nuke extra hard. So when you go down to the lower time frames on Matic, let me delete this degenerate play I had, 1000x on the roll bit. But ultimately over here on Matic, you have this deep Gartley, you had your 618, you have your 886 here, and you have the 1664, and you hit your 886 perfect, man, like legitimately perfect. You hit this 886. I don't think it gets any better than that, bro. You could place bids at the 886 and got the perfect top on this thing from the Gartley. And then on top of that, you have a bearish bat, literally right at the completion zone of the deep Gartley. So you have another bearish pattern completed right on top of a bigger bearish pattern. So that gives you a good entry. So you hit the 886 like almost perfect on this. This thing is playing harmonics really well right now. So your 886 is right here. It's where I pulled out roll bit and hit 1000x short with like 50 bucks. And rode this thing down 4% so far. And I still got my regular Matic short open. I TP'd a little bit. I'll add back if we go higher. But I ultimately still have the position open. And my average entry is like a 9.4, 3 right now. So right up here, pretty good entry. I didn't get the Pico top of this one because I entered at the 786, and then when we went up here, I really slammed it down, and that's why I took some profit. I usually was just gonna hold the whole thing the whole way down, but I was a little over leveraged on this thing. I was probably more around like the 4 or 5x, and I trimmed some and got me back down to about 2 to 3x on this position. So we're forming some bullish structure here. We legitimately look like we're forming another fucking bearish harmonic pattern here. 886. So we're gonna push up. We're probably gonna hit the 886 again of another back. And then, so we might have another short entry at 94 cents on this thing if it pushes up, man. Just retest this trend line, which I don't even know if I have it drawn correctly, to be honest. I just did it really quick from my phone earlier. So yeah, something like this. So say we push up, we come, we touch this 886 area, and we have another opportunity for people if they want to get on a short on this. And look at that 886, it lines up perfect with some areas over here, some candle wicks, at least on the 1 hour. I'll check the daily. Look at that, 94 cents. What a great inflection point here. On the daily, yeah, 94 cents, perfect, right on that candle wick here, right on this candle wick. So it's a good area, man. So maybe we get that little push up on the lower time frames here on your 1 hour and see what happens from there. But ultimately I would love to see us come up, retouch that, not reclaim or anything, and then just nuke down to this lower line to start and chop around there. So ultimately I'll probably draw that big channel on it real quick, and just to kind of see what if we hit the bearish structure, what the pattern would look like. So let me get this channel on it. So you have a channel here. Let's go to the 1 hour here. And this is just kind of what I do, man, on my own free time. I'll see what kind of patterns that we have and do it a lot, man. I'll do this shit a lot. Like, I'll just sit here and try to predict what price is going to happen, so I'm ready when price does move like this. you could have a movement here, which makes sense that this Gartley pattern is right at your D point, right around your B point, and that's a very significant level right here. So that's a good area. So you could see so far price go from up here to here, maybe come up and retest some resistance, and ultimately come down like that, something like this maybe, man. But ultimately, if it did that, then you might chop up, come retest, and then come back down, and then break down over here, which is right around those dates I was talking about. So we might get some chop, we might not get a straight move down here. Alright, so let's see, we got a couple levels marked out. We got your 88 cents, which would be a good one. It's also the B point of this harmonic, which is, if it is bullish, you'd want to see this hold here. And then this can, then you can have this point morph into like a bullish crab or a bearish crab. But if it does move up there, you'd have like targets up here, man, like right around this 110. But we got to flip that level first. I think if you can flip that level up here, right around $1, you get that move to 110, so you can look for some scalps up there. And I think this also lines up with right here, and I think you painted enough where you could play this harmonic too. Now let's see what this is. Is this a 0.5-ish? Yeah, so you got like your 0.5-ish right here. So you could be playing something like this. Say you come down and you hold it this time, and you get a big move up to here. Your 886 lines up almost right with that crab, so this is a bearish area. So those would be the big targets that you would see on this thing if it played out. So the upside, let's say 112. Other than that, I don't really see too much, man. I just want to play those macro moves. So probably look down for this B point. If you can at least come down and touch this B point, that'd be nice. Form a little bullish pattern on that right at the B point. I mean, that's a good move, man. If you take from this fib on the pattern that we have to right up there, 0.5's down here. It's probably your 382 area. Let's check. Yeah, right around your 382 is right down there. So maybe you get to push to the 886 instead. Either way, that's a good area. So maybe we get a little push up here. Not bad, little scalps. And then you get the big move down again, which would be nice. Give people another entry to short up here, as long as they don't break on the upside. Short at resistance, long on support, and you'll do a lot better than fucking long in that resistance and short in that fucking support. Let's go into Chili's. I'm in a Chili's long right now. It's doing alright. We hit the 886. Deep Gartley pattern here. We had a good retracement that I was looking for right around here. Wicked up into this. Had the trend line drawn. We saw we broke below it. I figured we would just crawl back up until we ultimately hit a point where we would retrace, and we hit the 618 golden pocket. And move down to your 886. So look at that, 886 was good. I have the Gartley pattern, so bids in between here, so they're in positive right now, and I think my average entry is honestly like right around here, right around 16. So I'm not mad with that at all. Stop loss below here, 15.5. I'm up profited on shorts, and I'm good on long too right now, so all my positions, shorts and longs, are in profit at the moment. The thing with Chili's that really stuck out to me is when you go to the weekly. Like this massive move out of it, and like you're just coming down and finding some support down here on the weekly level, and it's nothing to fuck around with, man. You could see some big moves after macro breakout like that on the weekly, forming a nice little trigger wave here too. You might form, oh wow, this would be filthy if we came down here. Hold on, this would be the ultimate long on Chili's. Yeah, man, 12.50. I already had it marked. I completely forgot about this. That'd be the ultimate long, because you'd have all this momentum coming down, and then you'd probably have a bullish divergence here, or a hidden bullish divergence, depending on how momentum looks. Just complete right here. You have a lower high, or a higher low. Even on the weekly here, I mean, you're breaking out. It looks like bears are back in control a little bit here because you broke below that 50. But at the same time, if you come down and retest this trend line, man, at that D point or right at the 886 even, this thing can really move. So that would be a good macro long on this thing if you can get it down there. I really hope my YouTube has a sound, and I just didn't do this whole thing without sound. It looks like the sound's working though, so we'll see. Alright, what else do you guys want to look at? I'm going to go look in the Discord chat. If you guys want to look at anything, I'm going to look at a couple things on stream real quick. Litecoin, man, this thing kind of looks like it wants to roll over, bro. You have a completed butterfly on this thing at your 1272, but you can remember these have extensions all the way up to the 1618 they can extend to. So you could have your 1414, your 1618. If you get that 1618, it's a pretty glorious short that you can get there. But at the meantime, we hit the 1272 finally. I think we barely touched it on this right here, and then we just spiked up. Yeah, see, we touched it. Perfect here. And then from here, we spiked through and we fucked everybody that was like, oh, the Litecoin tops in. So we spiked up past that. We took all the liquidity that was up here, and we started to nuke again since. Amazing. And this thing has no support over here, man. And it lines up perfect with this like weekly level even. And there's like not much in between here. This thing could just like really fall hard. Oh my god, dude. Chib retraced this whole fucking wick. What a fucking breakout, fucking. Look at that, bro. Sure, if we found support and closed a daily candle over this red line right here, it would have been calling for a 27% move historically in this range to go up to here. But we just didn't close the daily in there, man. If we would have closed the daily above this red line I had, look where we're at in this day too. Damn, that's so ugly, man. If we would have just closed right above that, what a deviation, bro. Damn, what if this is the deviation to go lower? Deviate out of price range just to fucking nuke it down to your 1618 down here, which is about a 50% haircut. We'll see what happens, man. Let's see if this red line flips. It's breakout alert. I'm gonna set some alerts just in case it does flip again. Wow, man, you blew right past the 1618 on this thing. What a banger, bro. This Gartley played out so well. I posted this too, and I didn't even take the trade on it. I actually had one open, but I just didn't hold it, man. This was such a beautiful call. You got your 618, 786, 1414, 786. Just into a fucking giant fucking run up on this thing, man. On the lower time frames. What is that? Fucking 25% move from the Gartley. The Gartley was perfect. It's a perfect fucking Gartley almost. I mean, this could be the 1618 too. But either way, this is a very good Gartley that I had spotted. And dude, it just fucking mooned. It's just been moving. Haven't been paying attention. Looks like the cipher played out perfect on Uni. 0.5 entry. And it looks like we moved pretty fucking hard on this thing, man. I wasn't even paying attention to this. So yeah, it looks like we moved. We're coming back up right to the C point, which is probably a big inflection point. You can even mark it. You can actually see how it is already. Yeah, man. So we're just in this range for now. Wow, that's crazy. Still in a spot bag on XRP. Nailed the bottom of this entry on this one. Didn't hit my fucking point yet, so we're gonna see if this thing pushes up. Sure enough, I think I see a lower time frame potential pattern that might play out. That might take us there. Let me see. This is a 786. And this is very possible. It's close. 886. 1414. Maybe I should lower my fucking TP by a smidge. Yeah, man. See if this is on a trend line. This could be a good long right now, if it holds. Maybe a little bit farther down, man, but this thing looks like it wants to hold this. I mean, That's the lowest I want to see it go. See if we have a bullish harmonic on here. Looks like we might have a low time frame shark. 886. Yeah, we almost hit it, man. This thing's looking bullish. Low key, this might be a little bullish play on XRP right here. I'm thinking about doing it. Just adding up a levers position, because look, that harmonic kind of lines up perfect over here, man. This is a big inflection point. Yeah, I think this is one to take a stab at, to be honest. And you can try to run it up to like 43 cents. That's a fucking pretty big move. I might double down with a little bit of leverage on top of this spot play I got. Alright, let's see if I can pull up another chart on this thing that's a little naked. When I look at it like this, I don't like it at all. This is where it has to hold though, man. I mean, it's potential play. I think this is where you do it if you're gonna do it. So, at least up into the top of this channel, you break up above that channel, then you're going higher. See if we pin it right here. Makes a difference. I mean, it still looks like you're holding it, man. Other than that, I'm just going to cover Atom. I know I've already covered it. I just want to see where it's at. I haven't checked it. And then probably call it a night. See if I have any requests. Alright, so this is my master plan on Atom. Sooner or later, we're going to come down here between the $7 and $8, and I'm going to load a bag. And I'm going to hold this bag. And I'm going to hold this bag way up here to 30 bucks. I'm gonna take a nice 5x or like 4x, and I'm gonna fuck off for a little bit. But yeah, I'm super bullish on Atom for the next bull cycle, honestly. So this is what I'm looking at in this zone right here. 786 would be the perfect Gartley that you have on this pattern, along with a deep crab. 1618, 786 line up perfect at $8. So that, in my opinion, is going to be a significant level to try to buy this thing at. It looks like we were rejecting off the area that I have at the moment. If we get a push up higher, look for your 1225 area. Maybe even a little bit lower if we form a bat. So you can look at your 1150 and then the next level up here, but I'll cover that because that'll take some time before we get up there. So I'll go a little more detail into that as price develops, so I can see if we have any patterns and where we can find some exact reversal points on that. Overall, I just wanted to show you guys like my overall plan on this thing is hopefully up there, and if we do shave some off of this, man, at least stop loss here. I might even lower it depending on what happens. You know what I mean? I just buy some more if it does go lower than this, but I'm stacking this for the next bull run. But that's pretty much it. Let me check and see if I have any requests. And then I'm gonna go be a degenerate on Rollbit with $100 probably. Ape. How could I? My other beloved short. I forgot I'm fucking even short this thing. Because I am not worried about it. I'm really not. Alright, so macro wise. You have a trend line. You have a perfect, almost, deep crab, and your 1272 is at 1.8. So I believe play the trend line. Every time, if you just played the trend line, if you played it here last time, massive dip. I think if you play the trend line here, you can get a massive dip again. And if not, you can enter right by the trend line, wait for a breakout. Maybe you get stopped off with low risk, not a big deal, and then you can just play the upside to this thing. Because apes like to ape into ape. But in the meantime, I think staking's coming around the corner. We've seen what happens when you stake with NFT projects or tokens. Price fucking nukes after. Maybe it runs up before you get some initial hype, and then right after that, it fucking nukes. But what if this was the initial hype? What if this was a run up? I would be stupid to not try to take a short when price broke this parabolic trend that you had. Price broke down, you formed a lower, just lower price action below it, and you're just kind of chopping around. You lost the momentum. So it's been a great short so far. We're going to see if it plays out way down here. But I think it might take a little bit of time. This is a macro short. I remember shorting this thing way back here when you had a bearish bat structure, and this was one of my best plays. And it took some time, man. You have your like 886 up here that we hit on this bearish bat up here. And what'd this take, man? I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, 7 days before you really got, maybe a week or two before you really started to get those big moves down. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so maybe we get a few more days and then we get a big move down again. But I mean, that's what I'm eyeing for now. You got a clear breakout, man. You either long down here and you start to take profit here, but if you're long in this thing right here at resistance, I don't know what the fuck you're thinking. That's my thoughts on ape, man. We'll see what happens with this Ponzi. And you're forming some fucking massive hidden bearish divergence, bro. Massive on the daily. Look at this. So you have this price here. Look at your momentum. Momentum went all the way up here. Bulls try to push it all the way up. If you can see on price. Let's see if I have another ape chart. It might be easier to show you. Yeah, perfect. So look at this momentum, man. You had so much momentum to the upside here. And this weak shit is all you got? This is all you got? This is weak, bro. You couldn't even get the last high with all that momentum that you have from staking. You couldn't even come up and beat this last high above here with this massive momentum that you had. So that's a hidden bearish divergence when price is still lower, but momentum is up like that. It just shows that like as soon as all those bulls step away, this thing is gonna nuke really fucking hard. And it's building up right now, and I'm trying to warn people, and you don't want to be long this thing when it decides to turn around, because when it does, it's going to turn around fast and it's going to get ugly. So that's kind of what I've been looking at with ape. I don't know. I think if you're scalping, sure, but if you're looking and just waiting for this thing, like with the chart looking like that, I think you're a psycho, man. I really do. But yeah, that's it. I think I'm gonna call the stream on that one. So thanks everybody. I'll stay in the Discord and chat out with you guys if you want, but gonna go ahead and close the YouTube, and thanks for tuning in.